Now, very excellent.
Okay, I can continue from where I went to Akusi or start all over again.
So just start from your training and go on.
And I said, I started training in 1972 at the health laboratory headquarters, Kolibu, which is now the Allied Health Council headquarters. Now, during our training, we were trained for 3 solid years. The first 1 year is mainly for academic and classroom work for the various disciplines in the lab.
Please, can you put the mic close to your mouth, the microphone to your mouth?
Yes,
Excellent.
it's okay now.
Now very loud. So let's go on.
Okay, so for 3 solid years, the first 1 year is purely classroom and academic work. Were taught in the various disciplines by our technologies, hematology, bacteriology, hematology, bacteriology and microbiology, histology, and parasitology. All the disciplines were, by then the school was in Kolebu, so that we were attached to the various departments in Kolebu, from chemistry, you go to microbiology, stroke, bacteriology. Then you go to hematology, go to histology, which was at the mortuary, where we learned a whole lot of things. Hematology was included in blood transfusion. So blood transfusion was part of hematology. And the present day Kolebu Blood Center, Kolebu Cross Matching Blood Center used to be the area where blood was collected and then cross match and sent to the various wards. So our training was first year pure academic work in the various disciplines, and then the second year we go to pure practicals in the various disciplines. After the second year practicals, we then go back to the classroom, which is the lecture hall. So we do classroom work in the morning, and then in the afternoon, no, we do the practical work in the morning, and then in the afternoon we go back to the classroom prior to our final examination in December. It was a very, very intensive course. After the examination, we had what we call Viva Voce, where after the examination, we are individually interviewed on our performance, both practically and academically, by our peers, who were then the senior technologists in the system. After the academic, this Viva Voce, we are told or we are given a letter that we pass. If you don't pass, you come back again in 6 months, which means that in June you take your re-examination again, and then we go and meet our peers on Viva Voce, which means we are interviewed by our senior people and then ask questions about our performance, both academically and practically. After that, we are posted to the Ministry of Health, where we are posted outside Kolebu. If you are lucky, you can be in Kolebu. By then, the profession was in a low position, so we couldn't. Normally, even before you go for promotion, training have gone down. In fact, while we were being trained, we had a white lady called Sister Schneider, with the help of Ms. Samuel, Bernard Williams, Bart Plant, Kwesi Plant, and a few other technologies I can remember, that we were able to be trained properly. In fact, a curriculum and the lecture we had was so good that we could go anywhere and work. Even our seniors who were able to travel to the UK had to use the same curriculum to go and enter into medicine. Fine. In 1975, I was posted to the Akuse Hospital, where I stayed there up to 1981. After an intensive interview, I went to UK to have my further training. And I came back in 1986 to come and revamp the laboratory profession. In fact, by then, one Mr. Ofori, Banama Williams were the strong stalwarts in the laboratory at the time, with Mr. Planche Kwesi Ama, who Kwesi Ama gave us land at Kaswa for laboratory buildings. Fine. He also passed on. After that, I was when I came back from UK, I was sent to the blood bank because at that time the blood bank was in a bad shape. People were doing all their things at the blood bank. In those days, there was no blood. In fact, there was no blood. So I instituted that since our voluntary blood donation was not that good, every relative had to donate blood for their patients who that go on for operation and brother. And having put my foot down, the thing went on nicely. And I remember the pathologist in charge, Professor Joseph Papo Akwe, came to the lab and found that the blood bank was full of blood. He said, "Oh, your thing has worked. It has worked." And the blood, there was no cry for blood. The only thing we couldn't do was to prepare product. It went on nicely. And there's, in fact, in the between 1987 to 1988, then the HIV menace started. When the HIV menace started, then we have to restart testing blood for hepatitis and HIV. We didn't do for syphilis, but the main thing was hepatitis and HIV. And as I said, if you don't have relatives donating for you, you couldn't do. You were not giving blood. And then the doctors helped us. In fact, Professor Joseph Pakwakwe supported me in my quest, but something happened along the line that put me on a different line with Professor Joseph Pakwakwe. In fact, what happened was we started wanting to get a policy for the lab, and then Health Services Management Committee set up a board that they should investigate and then see. By then, one Mrs. Her name will come, was in charge of the laboratory, and then luckily for us, Mrs. Mary Grant actually set up a board to have the laboratory policy put up. In fact, they did a survey among all the laboratories around Ghana, and then they decided that at that time, a professional medical laboratory trainee technology should take up the directorship of the health laboratory services. We did not go well with Professor Akwe and his colleagues. And that was when the war of pathologists and laboratory. In fact,